There is a generation of Americans quietly sitting on more financial wisdom than any YouTube channel, any financial advisor, or any business school could ever teach you. They did not learn it from a classroom. They did not learn it from a mentor. They learned it the hard way, from layoffs, from recessions, from watching people they trusted get destroyed by a system that promised to protect them. And here is what is interesting. The way Generation X thinks about money might be the most battle-tested financial mindset alive right now. And most of them never talk about it. In this video, we are going to break down the financial psychology of Generation X. Why they think about money the way they do, what survival-level economic lessons shaped them, and most importantly, the specific financial habits and strategies they quietly use that anyone at any age can start applying today. Because whether you are Gen X or not, what this generation figured out about building real financial security is something the algorithm does not talk about enough. To understand how Generation X handles money, you have to understand how they grew up. Generation X was born between the mid-1960s and early 1980s, and millions of them came home from school every day to an empty house. No parent at the door, no babysitter, no one to call. You pulled out the key hanging around your neck, let yourself in, and figured out the rest. By 1984, roughly 7 million kids between the ages of 5 and 13 were regularly unsupervised after school. That kind of independence, starting at 8 or 9 years old, does something to your psychology. It teaches you one foundational truth very early. Nobody is coming to save you. Figure it out yourself. And that mindset did not stay in the kitchen after school. It followed them straight into their adult financial lives. But childhood independence was only the beginning. The real financial education came from watching what happened to their parents. For decades, the message was simple. Work hard, stay loyal, put in your years. Everything will work out. So their parents did exactly that. 30 years at the same company, the same factory, the same office. And then, almost overnight, it was gone. Factories closed, companies downsized. Workers with decades of loyalty were handed a pink slip on a Tuesday afternoon like it meant nothing. No severance, no warning, no appreciation for the years they gave. Gen X watched this happen in real time. At the dinner table, in their neighborhoods, to people they loved, and the lesson landed permanently. Loyalty to a company does not guarantee security. The system can collapse, and it will take you with it if you are not prepared. This is not cynicism. This is pattern recognition. And it rewired how an entire generation approaches financial stability. But here's where it gets really interesting. Because that lesson alone did not just make them cautious, it made them build something most people still have not figured out. Long before every finance influencer started talking about multiple income streams, Generation X was already living it. Not because it was a trend, because it felt like survival. Side businesses, freelance work, rental properties, dividend accounts, skills turned into income. They did not put everything into one employer because they had already seen what happens when that employer decides you are no longer useful. Think about that for a second. While everyone else was climbing a single corporate ladder, Gen X was quietly building multiple ladders at the same time. And this is the first strategy worth writing down. Do not build your financial life around a single source of income. Your job is not your financial plan. It is your starting point. The goal is to build income sources that do not all depend on one person, one company, or one economy making the right decisions on your behalf. Start small, one side income, one investment, one asset that pays you whether you show up or not. Then, build from there. Gen X learned this the hard way. You can learn it now. And that was before the economic hits even started. Generation X entered adulthood and immediately ran into a wall. The early 1990s recession hit many of them just as they were launching their careers. Unemployment climbed, opportunity dried up. A lot of them started from nothing in an economy that was not exactly welcoming them. Then came the dot-com crash in 2001. This one was brutal in a different way. Billions in paper wealth wiped out almost overnight. People who thought they were set watched their portfolios collapse by 50, 60, 70%. Companies that were worth billions on paper were gone within months. Then, the 2008 financial crisis, the worst economic collapse since the Great Depression. Housing markets collapsed. Banks failed. Retirement accounts were cut in half. People who had done everything right, paid their mortgage, saved consistently, played by the rules, still lost everything. 3 major economic disasters during the prime earning and wealth building years of a single generation. Think about what that does to a person. Every time Gen X started gaining financial ground, the economy reset the board. And here is what that level of repeated economic trauma does to your financial psychology. It makes you deeply skeptical of hype. When you have watched bubbles inflate and explode multiple times, you stop chasing the shiny thing everyone is excited about. You start asking different questions. Not what is the upside, but what happens if this goes wrong? Not how much can I make, but how much can I afford to lose? That is not fear, that is discipline. And it is the reason so many Gen X investors quietly outperform people who are constantly chasing the next big thing. And this is the second strategy. Before any major financial move, whether it is a stock, a property, or a business, stress test it. What does this look like if the market drops 30%? What does this look like if my income disappears for 6 months? What is my exit if this does not work out the way I planned? If you can survive the downside, the upside takes care of itself. If you cannot survive the downside, it does not matter how good the upside looks. But surviving recessions is not what makes the Gen X financial mindset truly unique. It is how they think about wealth itself. Here's something you will notice about a lot of Gen X wealth. You cannot see it, no viral posts, no flashy purchases, no announcements. And that is completely intentional. Generation X grew up before the internet, before social media, before your net worth became something people performed for an audience. Back then, your financial life was private. What you earned, what you saved, what you owned, that was nobody's business. And most of them still operate that way. But beyond the privacy piece, there is something more important happening here. Gen X is far more interested in actually being financially secure than appearing financially successful. And those two things are not the same. In fact, for a lot of people, they are the opposite. Appearing wealthy requires you to spend money you have. Being wealthy requires you to keep money you earn. Every luxury car payment is money that is not compounding. Every designer purchase made for an audience is equity that is not being built. Every lifestyle upgrade financed to impress people you barely know is a decision that costs you 10 times more in the long run than it looks like in the moment. Gen X understood this without anyone teaching it to them, because they watched people lose everything, and they decided a long time ago that they would rather actually have it than look like they have it. And this is the third strategy. Stop optimizing your finances for how they look. Start optimizing for how they perform. The car you drive does not compound. The vacation you post does not build equity. The outfit does not pay dividends. Quiet, consistent financial decisions made over years will always outperform loud, impressive ones made for an audience. Now there is one more piece to the Gen X financial mindset, and this one might be the most important thing you take from this video. Generation X does not fully trust corporations. They do not fully trust the government. They have seen too many promises broken by both. But there is one thing they do trust completely: their own skills. Because here is what they figured out. You cannot always control whether you get laid off. You cannot control market crashes. You cannot control interest rates or inflation or what a company decides to do with its workforce next quarter. But you can control how valuable you are. If you have skills people genuinely need, opportunities will follow you regardless of what the economy is doing. Recessions come and go. Valuable people always find a way forward. This is why so many Gen X professionals are obsessed with getting better at what they do, adapting to new industries, learning new tools, building expertise that travels with them no matter where they go. Because competence is portable, a company pension is not. A job title is not. A salary tied to one employer is not. But your skills go wherever you go. And this is the fourth strategy. Your most important financial asset is not your investment account. It is your ability to earn. Protect it, develop it, expand it. A higher income consistently directed toward assets is the most reliable wealth building formula that exists. If you are only focused on where to put your money and not on how to make more of it, you are solving half the equation and ignoring the more important half. So let us bring all of this together into exactly what you can apply starting this week. Number 1, audit your income sources today. Open a notes app right now and write down every place money comes into your life. If that list has one item on it That is a vulnerability. Your goal over the next 90 days is to identify and begin building one additional income source. It does not have to be massive, it just has to exist outside of your primary job. Number 2, stress test every financial decision before you make it. Before you invest, before you take on debt, before you make a major purchase, run the worst case scenario in your head. If the market dropped significantly, if your income stopped tomorrow, could you still survive this decision? If the answer is yes, move forward. If the answer is no, pause and reassess. Number 3, do an honest audit of your lifestyle spending. Look at the last 30 days of purchases and ask yourself honestly which ones built something and which ones just looked good. Then redirect even a portion of that money into an asset, an index fund, a down payment account, a business investment. Let it compound quietly while others are spending for applause. Number 4, invest in your earning ability this month, not someday. This month, take the course, build the skill, get the certification, read the book. Spend time getting better at what you do or learning something that makes you more valuable. Your income is the engine of your entire financial plan. Everything else depends on it. These are not complicated strategies. They are not new. They are not trendy. They are the ones that have actually worked through recessions, crashes, inflation, and economic uncertainty. Because Gen X did not learn finance in a classroom. They learned it in real time, in a real economy, with real consequences on the line. Generation X may be the most financially underestimated group alive. They are not on social media flexing their portfolio. They are not writing best-selling books about their net worth. They are quietly building, consistently investing, carefully preparing, and that quiet financial resilience is the real legacy of this generation. Not because the system rewarded them, because they stopped waiting for it to, and built something on their own terms. You now understand the mindset. The only question is whether you are going to apply it. If this gave you a different way of thinking about money, subscribe to Simply Finance. We break down real financial strategy clearly, practically, and without the hype. New videos every week.